Good afternoon and welcome to the Chartreuse Leprechaun. My name is Mark, your host, and this episode should have been another Chartreuse Leprechaun story. Instead, it's kind of an impromptu video because, well, COVID has hit our household and it's thrown a monkey wrench into all kinds of things. And yeah, my son, who's in the sheet metal union, is flat on his back. Sounds like he's hacking up a lung, but my wife and I have low-grade fevers. We're coughing, but not testing positive. And in a couple of recent videos, they're still upcoming, I think. I think it's the episodes this week. I said this was seasonal Texas crud. Yeah, maybe not, but, you know, we're hunkered down, self-isolating, taking meds, all that fun stuff. On the bright side, my son seems to have passed beyond COVID. They're calling it bronchitis now, so we're getting through this. Oops, sorry about that. I bumped my microphone there. I'm not used to having it down this low. But there are some things going on around here that I want to share. And so, yeah, be sure to hit that like button, set yourself up for subscriptions, notifications, all that fun stuff so you don't miss anything around here. And as always, first things first, a quick health update. I've been released to physical therapy for my neck. Now, unfortunately, COVID has now delayed that. But, you know, what can you do, right? You gotta do what the doctors and all of that. So, my neurologist hasn't filed disability paperwork yet. I do fully expect them to. They want to see me again before they do. And at the moment, that's scheduled for November. Not sure how that'll work in terms of insurance disability approvals and all that. Like I said, I am fully expecting them to file the paperwork for detailing disability. While I admit that there's been some improvement in terms of hand and finger function, the dystonia is still there. I know my doctor said there wouldn't be any improvement. I was quietly hoping they were wrong. Could there be more improvement? Maybe. Nerves can heal slowly over time. I seem to recall hearing at some point that it's like 1 millimeter a day, maybe a month. I don't remember for sure now. It's been a lot of years after I had my first surgery to move the nerve in the elbow. Anyway, is it likely? Nobody really knows. Personally, I suspect it's like brain injuries. The brain, if you've had a stroke or an aneurysm or a concussion or whatever, your brain constantly tries to rearrange and rewire around the damaged areas. And, you know, I want to believe that's possible with nerves. So, but that puts me, you know, kind of where we're at. Since the fall of 2019 after thoracic outlet syndrome surgery, the goal has been to get back to life. That was the goal of YouTube, of exercise, of, well, everything. With permanent disability, very likely, I've kind of hit a fork in the road, and I can make two decisions. I can just give up and sit endlessly in front of the television. That's, of course, the easy choice, or I can refuse to give up. And if you followed this series, you know my choice. I just need new goals. I had goals before. Should be able to find new ones, right? Absolutely. I just have no idea what I'm going to do now. I will continue on YouTube as the Chartreuse Leprechaun, of course. And, you know, I suppose I could write a book on all this, except I don't know what the ending is, which would just make writing busy work. Busy work isn't necessarily bad as long as it isn't the goal. Then it's just distraction, and living a distracted life is empty. So yeah, maybe I'll tell my story. You know, life stories actually never end. They continue, even after you die because of the influence you have on others. But if you're telling a story to someone, you have to have a satisfying endpoint. And that's the place where everybody thinks it's going to be okay. And I don't have one yet. And that's the key word, yet. For all of us, for you, for me, for everybody, yet has incredible importance. Like I said, my story isn't over, and neither is yours. I still battle on, and I challenge you to do the same. I refuse to give up. Sure, I have to adjust my strategy and maybe find a new end goal and the way to reach it, but I'm not giving up. I will not just sit in front of the television or lounge on my porch. I just can't do nothing. And that's the bottom line. And I don't know where I'm going, but I know I'm going to get there. So, well, that was a little deeper than I intended to go there, but I hope that encouraged you. So how about we move on to some technical and channel news? We're doing some upgrades, mostly budget ones. I found a couple of cheap / inexpensive studio lights on Amazon. I haven't had a chance to try them out much, but I like what I've tried so far. And, for $30, worth a try. Matter of fact, I've got one of them on now. That's one of the reasons the lighting is a little bit more improved here, kind of like that. Computer-wise, we are due for some upgrades, and I have two that I desperately need. That GTX 1660 6GB model that I've got just isn't cutting it like it needs to. And in the current market, big shock, I don't have the budget to replace it. I do, on the other hand, have the budget to upgrade my CPU. Later this week or early next week, I've forgotten the shipping schedule, we're getting a Ryzen 5 5600X. That to replace our Ryzen 5 2600. Should be in place after next week. Hopefully that will make a difference for us. I am seriously hoping that upgrade doesn't cause problems in Fallout 4. We already downgraded our graphics and drivers back after the Episode 5 crash, but I'm pretty sure we'll be okay with this change. Now, our biggest problem is going to be the RAM. With the Ryzen 5 2600 we're currently using, the RAM speeds are really low, like 2666, I think, is the max you can do. With that chip, and the Ryzen 5600X likes 3200 to 3600, so that's another future budget item. Yeah. On the bright side, my the parts from my current build plus a new motherboard will be going into another build to replace the aging backup computer, that old HP Z400, the beast. If you watched our tech intervention video a few weeks ago, with its 2 gigabyte graphics card, a GTX 950 is starting to fade. Now, a newer graphics card might be enough to keep it alive. I mean, 2 gigabytes, really? I read in the HP forums that the GT 1660 that I have will actually work in that old thing, believe it or not. But that computer was refurbished unit that we bought in 2015, 2016. So I'm amazed it's running at all right now, much less that, and I really don't think it's going to last much longer. Anyway, things are looking better on the tech side, and here's hoping for a big change in the GPU market, you, me, and everybody else, right? Or that someone out there would like to donate a used card for the cause here at the Chartreuse Leprechaun. I am just kidding on that, although I wouldn't turn it down, as always. But on that subject, I am finally launching our Patreon page. The link is in the description below. There's 3 levels of support, one for the studio, one for the coffee fund, and one for everything else. So if you want to support our efforts here, please do. It would be greatly appreciated. And oh God, we could sure use it here at the studio and at the coffee machine. Oh, and lastly, given the excuse me, kind of surprised I made it this far without any of that. Lastly, I want to end on a note, because of all the struggles we're having here with health and everything else. I want to end on a spiritual note as usual, I guess. Good deeds don't matter when it comes to health issues. Good deeds don't matter for a lot of things, but there's this whole idea that doing good things is enough. It'll get you God's favor with people, all that fun stuff. And let's face it, there's a lot of great causes out there. Fighting world hunger is good. Building homes for the needy is good. Social justice warring is actually good in some ways. But the downfall of most good deeds philosophies is they demonize anyone who doesn't see it or do it that way. Another downfall is the manipulation of people to give to their cause. And all that has exploded exponentially via social media. Social media, aka what is trending, now governs society. It really does. Right and wrong don't matter anymore. Just what's trending. So is that what faith is? Doctrine by popularity contest? It's only real if it's trending? What happens when what you believe now suddenly isn't trending anymore? What if, I don't know, 10, 20, 30 years from now, LGBTQ is no longer trendy and acceptable? And I say that only because 30 years ago it wasn't. What if something completely different than the latest self-help Eastern mysticism thing is trending, and all the ones trending now are being torn apart? What if Islam is the major trending thing? What if Christianity is back? What happens to your so-called faith then? Can you even call that faith? Since going by the power and habits of social media today, most people are just going to jump off whatever boat they're on and get on board that one. And is that what faith is? Grabbing whatever is trending? Really? No one wants to hear stories like mine. A life that was changed, a life turned completely around by an encounter with God, that despite all the struggles and wrestling with sin, that I refused to give up on my God because he has refused to give up on me. He's shown himself to be good over and over, in spite of me showing I'm not. I'm not. Over and over. I fall down a lot. I am not perfect. And if you're expecting me to be perfect, you're in for a rude awakening. Do I wrestle with sin? Daily. Anger, rage, wrath, bitterness, unforgiveness, sinful judgment, ungodly sexual desires, greed, envy, all that and a lot more. And I fall down to it too. But I get back up. Someone truly sold out to God is described in the book of Proverbs as someone who falls down repeatedly. It says 7 times. But they keep getting back up to strive for better, to draw closer to God, as opposed to the person who falls and just stays there in the mud rather than continue to go on to God. Can you overcome sin? Yes, but only through God working in your life. Not self-help practices, not keeping yourself distracted with other things, usually things you shouldn't be doing anyway, not by ignoring it, not by making excuses for it, not by denying sin, and certainly not by denying God just to make allowances for it. The call of God is not to say a prayer and hope things change. The call of God is to repent of your sin and turn your trust to him for an eternal reward. The Apostle Paul told the Corinthians that if there's no hope for an eternal reward, then Christians are the most miserable of people. Well, the trouble is they aren't. Real Christians face trials, struggles, failures, all the other stuff everyone else faces. But they have a hope that doesn't fade away. And if your hope is only in the things of this life, or that living life over and over until you reach perfection, then you are without hope. One thing, the one says there's nothing after this, therefore you have no reason to exist. And that's a recipe for a suicide epidemic. Okay? The other says that you spend forever hoping you earn enough points to become God or God-like. Really? Through our own efforts, we get to become God? Really? That is so senseless. The gospel says you are not God and you can't become God, but you are loved by him. Loved enough that he made a way for you to escape the rat race of sin if you repent of sin and surrender to him. The problem people have with Christianity isn't all the good ideas espoused in the Bible. They love those. It's the very same ideas espoused by deconstructors, self-help teachers, on and on and on. No one has a problem with those. It's the surrender message. But without surrender, you are not his, and you get none of his benefits. God's public display of affection for you was the cross. What public display of affection are you making for him? He was willing to be publicly humiliated for you, and he's willing to give up everything to be with you. But unless you return that dedication to him, you are not his, and he will cast you out of his presence, and you will get none of his benefits. I call on you to surrender to him. Repent of your sin. Confess him as Lord and final authority of your life. I won't promise you everything will get better. The trials, the struggles, they're still out there. But I will promise you, you will be better. You will be changed to a new life with an eternal hope. And you know what? I think that's going to be enough for now. I want to thank you for your time today. You spent it with us here at the Chartreuse Leprechaun, and we really do appreciate it. Please leave us a comment on today's video, what you liked, what you didn't like, ideas, improvements, suggestions, AIM Lab, Patreon suggestions. We'll take whatever feedback you want to give us because we want to get better, and we'd like to have your input to help find the way. Also, again, hit that like button. Please subscribe. Set yourself up for notifications, all that fun stuff so you don't miss anything around here. Check out our merch page. It's linked in the description below. But above all, always, always, always remember, if you see it and you can't quite explain it, you can be sure the Leprechaun did it. Now, you have yourselves a great day, and we will see you here next time on the Chartreuse Leprechaun. Bye-bye.